Welcome back to The Explainer. Today we're targeting a massive, universal drain on our daily energy, decision fatigue. We're going to unpack a brilliant, highly granular mental framework to literally defeat chronic indecision once and for all. This comes directly from the insights in Thomas Alethea's expansive book, 12 Steps to a Good Life. We're going to distill some of its absolute most powerful psychological tools into a single, actionable strategy that you can start using today.
So let me ask you a question. Have you ever found yourself just standing in the aisle of a grocery store, or maybe staring blankly at your computer screen, completely paralyzed by a seemingly simple, everyday choice? Because look, we have all been there. Your brain starts spinning, you're weighing endless pros and cons, and suddenly picking out a new toothbrush or deciding whether to reply to an email feels like defusing a bomb. Why on earth does our own mind lock up like this when we really just need to make a move?
To answer that, Daniel Kahneman makes a brilliant point in our source material. He notes that people are not fully rational, and they make many choices that, if reflected upon, they would do differently. And honestly, that completely validates exactly what you're feeling when you struggle. Our brains naturally work against us when we're waffling. We aren't the purely logical machines we'd like to think we are, right? We are feeling machines that happen to think, and our judgment is just constantly clouded by unseen psychological traps.
Section 1. The Burden of Choice. Understanding the Perennial Struggle. Alethea's text frames his overarching difficulty with decision-making as the perennial struggle. It's kind of that quiet, persistent ache of inner conflict, where trying to navigate choices without a map just completely saps our energy. You see, our thinking often gets derailed by what are called cognitive distortions. On one side, sure, we strive for rational, objective thinking. But on the other side, we fall into traps like all-or-nothing thinking, where we mistakenly believe a decision has to be 100% perfect or it's a total failure. Or we fall for present bias, where we choose immediate comfort over long-term impact. The text even personifies this distraction as our internal instant gratification monkey, a part of our mind that completely avoids the future, prefers comfort, and is just an expert at distracting our rational decision maker from what's actually important.
Section 2. Your Core Values Compass. Finding your true north.
Okay, so how do we quiet that monkey and clear the distortion? Well, we have to establish a baseline. You simply cannot make swift, accurate decisions if you don't actually know what your core values are. Without a really solid grasp of those values, your needs get confused. You become incredibly vulnerable to outside pressures, societal conditioning, and that endless pursuit of instant gratification. You might find yourself impulsively spending money on things you don't even need, or committing to obligations you really don't want, all because you're trying to fill an inner void or meet someone else's expectations. Knowing your true north aligns your actions with your authentic self.
Section 3. The Hesitation Heuristic. The Ultimate Binary Rule.
All right, let's dive into this, because this is where the explainer gets incredibly practical. Once you have a sense of your values, you can apply the absolute star of today's framework, an ultimate mental cheat code derived directly from the text sections on decision-making. It's called the Hesitation Heuristic. Now, a heuristic is just a fancy word for a mental shortcut. And this is a granular, preset mental guideline to use whenever you're waffling on a choice. Here is the rule. If you are hesitating about spending time or money, the answer should automatically be no. Conversely, if the decision involves your personal growth, values, or integrity, the answer is usually yes. It is a real game changer. It brilliantly cuts through the noise of analysis paralysis by turning complex, anxiety-inducing dilemmas into a very simple binary contrast.
Section 4. When to say no. Protecting your resources.
Let's break this down a bit more, starting with the first half of the heuristic. When to say no. This is all about fiercely guarding your most precious, finite resources, your time and your finances. Are you hesitating on spending time or money? The answer is automatically no. Just think about standing in a store tempted by an impulse buy. You pick the item up, you look at the price tag, you're wondering if you should get it. Listen, if you have to think about it that hard, if you are actively waffling, you do not need it. And the exact same goes for your calendar. If someone asks you to take on a new, non-essential commitment and you hesitate, wondering where you'll even find the hours, say no. The hesitation itself is literally your body's alarm system telling you to protect your resources.
And this automatic no applies so practically to your finances by separating true needs from impulsive wants. A great tool for this, from the source, is the 50-30-20 budgeting rule. 50% of your income goes to needs, 30% to wants, and 20% to savings or debt. When you apply the hesitation heuristic to that 30% wants category, you instantly curb mindless impulse spending.
You stop buying those small luxuries that just quietly drain your wallet, and you actually start building real wealth, resilience, and peace of mind.
Section 5. When to say yes, embracing the uphill decision.
Now, what's really interesting about this next part is how the rules flip completely. We've protected our time and money, but what about our character? If you're hesitating on a choice that involves your personal growth, your core values, or your integrity, the answer is almost always yes. The text refers to these as uphill decisions. When we're faced with two difficult choices, we so often hesitate on the one that feels more painful in the short term, even if we know it's better for us in the long run. If a choice feels hard because it requires courage, vulnerability, or taking a risk to improve yourself, like, say, having a difficult but really honest conversation, or finally starting that creative project, your hesitation isn't a warning to stop. Actually, scratch that. It's more like a green light. It is your signal to leap.
Section 6. The next right thing. Breaking the paralysis.
Okay, so having a yes or a no is great in theory, but we absolutely have to ground this in reality by taking action before that panic monster takes over. The source material heavily emphasizes this concept of doing the next right thing. It basically reduces time to a single moment and choices down to the small and simple. Once the hesitation heuristic gives you your answer, you've got to take immediate action. So here are two really mechanical steps from the text to help you build that momentum. First, the 5-second rule. Once you make the decision, literally count down 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and then physically move. It gives your brain a small jolt to act before the doubt has a chance to kick in. Second, the 2-minute rule. If the action required by your decision takes under 2 minutes to complete, do not schedule it. Don't put it on a list, just do it right now. By doing this, you are effectively short-circuiting your brain's natural tendency to overcomplicate everything.
We're going to wrap up with this final, absolutely powerful lens from the text: regret minimization. If you find you are still stuck, picture your future self and just ask, what choice will I regret most in 10 minutes, 10 months, and 10 years? This forces you to drop the short-term emotion and look at the actual, real trajectory of your life. Because the hesitation heuristic isn't just about saving a few bucks or a few minutes. It's about making absolutely sure your daily actions line up with your ultimate purpose. So, what is the very next decision waiting for you today? And what is your hesitation telling you to do? Keep learning, stay focused, and start moving.